My name is Jack Forrest, and I'm one of the news editors this fall semester.
My name's Tyler Spence, and same thing. I'm a news editor at the IDS. Well, I mean, news editors, work in managing the news desk, and all content that's flowing through it. So really, that starts from the very beginning with um, working with reporters and creating ideas, working on building source connections, and also for a lot of reporters it might be a new beat for them, or maybe it's their first time on a beat. So we're working with them to make sure that they feel comfortable, and the story gets fleshed out in a way that kind of meets our expectation, and also something that they can be proud of. And then we also coordinate with the managing editors and the EICs to ensure a smooth flow of content every day.
Then there's the times that you can't plan a story in ahead, and then it just kind of comes up, and somebody has to go and write it real quick, and that's like a whole other level of like chaos, and kind of requires all this collaboration across the editors and the reporters. So we have somewhere around 20 reporters on the news desk right now, which is incredible. It's always great to have so many. And each reporter has their own beat, which is kind of the topic or subject that they cover. So one is like campus life, so things that are happening around IU. There's a city beat reporter who covers like city council. This semester we had an elections reporter who covered specifically the presidential election and how it affected the state and local government and stuff. So kind of depending on what beat a story falls into closest.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest challenges, and also one of the scariest um, kind of concepts as a young reporter. Going in and having your story, judged, with lack of a better word. Um, so we try and really, I think, enable them to take ownership of their areas, and equip them with the knowledge and resources to kind of do it on their own. And we don't want to micromanage their process. We're here to help them, and hopefully get the best out of them. Um, and the more that we can do that in a collaborative, supportive environment, I think the better not only will the work be, but also the better that they will feel as a part of, that my story isn't just being edited, it's being looked at and improved. And also I now know, how to improve going forward. So that's really our goal, I think.
It's a tough one, and it's something we kind of have to answer every day. I think you have to look at what's like on our docket for a day and say, oh, this has to come out today, or this is breaking news or something, and we have to focus on that above all else. So that kind of the hierarchy of importance of stories sometimes answers that question for us, and other times we have to just make a judgment call, like, oh, this has to be done in this time frame. It's a time sensitive story, or a more evergreen story, one that can publish at any time.
Different ways stories kind of can come to us in a very rudimentary or professional sense, where we get press releases. People want stories, public officials want stories on certain things. Reporters come up with their own ideas, and editors come up with ideas too. I think there's, the kind of the fundamental nature of journalism and being a reporter is being curious and observant. And when you have a group of curious and observant people all working together, you're gonna ask questions that will lead to stories that don't just kind of plop in your email inbox. And I think those are often the ones, I think, that get the most excitement out of reporters anyway, because when you have a kind of self-generated idea, or something that maybe you've noticed that no one else has noticed, you can really feel a sense of ownership over it, and get really excited about it.
Reddit too.
Yeah.
The Bloomington subreddit. We were just talking about that today, how for every post about where to buy boneless chicken fingers in Bloomington, there's a post about like something that is very interesting and like
Mhm.
warrants a story. So if you're watching and have story ideas, you should send them to us first. But if not, then you should post about it on Reddit. News is always, or newspapers, their goal is obviously ultimately to like serve an audience, a community. And so for the IDS, that community is both the campus community at IU Bloomington, but also the Bloomington and Monroe County community. So it's important to kind of focus on what readers care about and what issues are important to them, not just issues that um, we might deem newsworthy, but also issues that uh, the reader of the IDS might like to see reflected in our coverage.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think listening is one of the key, fundamental qualities of a good reporter, but also a good newspaper. And Reddit is a good example for this. Obviously, lots of things happen on Reddit, but a lot of people go to complain about things that they can't necessarily get answers from anywhere else. So if we are willing and able to listen, we can tap into the sentiment of not only the community or the campus, but also some of the general problems that are going on that maybe we wouldn't necessarily hear about because we're just not as plugged in to certain things. So there's a real challenge, I think, of sending as many ears to as many places as possible, and really going from there and trying to ensure that our coverage is indicative of the wider community and the concerns of the community, and not just our kind of jaded or soloed kind of perspective.
It's given me a lot of optimism, honestly. We hear so much about how journalism is a kind of like decaying industry and newspapers are closing all the time, and there aren't a lot of opportunities after you graduate. But I mean, working with all the people who write for the IDS and the news desk shows me that there are people that legitimately care about this, and um, going forward, going beyond our role here, that there will always kind of be people who value telling the truth and telling stories that matter to any community. So, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's something really powerful about being surrounded by really ambitious young reporters and journalists, and it does provide a sense of optimism that can otherwise be hard to find across journalism. But when you see a generation that is still really passionate about carrying the tradition forward and carrying the difficult work forward, it does make you feel a bit more comfortable and more yeah, optimistic about what's to
Yeah.
come.
Just for me personally, coming in as like more of a younger editor, getting to work with Tyler, who has so much experience already, has been a really great opportunity and taught me a lot as well about editing and what it's like to be on this side of things. So yeah.
Well, that's very kind. No, I think it's been really great working with not just the team, but like having a new generation come in that have a lot of excitement and um, just care a lot about it. And Jack being, I think, one of the main producers of that in the newsroom. But it's helped me, I think, even get some of my excitement back as far as as journalism goes, because I you know can work with those who are excited about it all and ready to go. So it's been great.
No better way to learn AP style than having to look at page proofs before it's sent to the printer and catch little things like time, date, place, or should there be a comma there? Should there not be a comma there? And yeah, it's you can practice all you want, but actually like having to do it is very like teaches you more than anything.
It is Kermit the Frog with a cowboy hat on, and I'll tell you why. Kermit is really, he juggles all the different Muppet personalities very effectively, and I think that's really key for the IDS. Not only in our coverage, we juggle a lot of different coverage, but also the people on the staff. Kermit's also an excellent leader and a caring individual, but still able to go, rough and tumble when the job requires him. Thus, Kermit specifically with the cowboy hat on.
Let's see. I'm gonna go with the squirrel,
Mm.
um, which I think kind of embodies um, the student body as well, and they're so prevalent on campus. You see them all the time, and we've like I think a couple of our special pubs we've put a squirrel on the cover, and um, I don't know, just something about their energy and the way they kind of operate reminds me a lot of the way that people in the newsroom operate. Take that as you will. Not an insult nor a compliment, I guess, but yeah,
Just simply an
just
observation.
observation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Journalism is one of those things that you're not going to get the experience, and you're not really going to get better until you just start doing it. And the IDS is a great place to do it, and to get help, and to really get responsibility, and to be able to explore what you're capable of. I think for any young journalist who's looking at the field, it can be very intimidating to get started, and there's so many very good people at the higher levels that we look up to, and we want to be like them, but they all started like us, so you have to take it just one day at a time. Don't ever waste a byline. Your uh, small story that you think is not that important can still really do something, and be proud of it and take ownership of it. So I think, yeah, just the more that you are actively participating, the better it is for you, and not only the more enjoyment you will get out of it, I think, but the better off you will be.
yeah, all of that. Uh, some of the best stories from this semester have been like GA writers who have literally just started like
Mhm.
their first couple stories. So if you have any interest in writing, um, you just got to do it. There's no better way to learn than by putting it into practice. And um, if you have that drive to want to report, then um, you will. And
Mhm.
the IDS is like the perfect environment to practice it, in my opinion. So I would encourage you try it if it wasn't recording the whole time.